Mustang, Camaro, Cain and Abel, Hall & Oates, Siegfried and Roy, Bill and Hillary. There are certain personalities throughout history where one just goes with the other. You can't talk about one without mentioning the other. And that's certainly the case with these two. This battle has been taking place in one form or another since 1967, and it shows no signs of slowing down. Today, what we have for you is the Chevrolet Camaro SS with the 1LE package, and the Ford Mustang GT with the track pack and some optional Recaro seats. What is the 1LE? Well, it's essentially all the go-fast bits from the mighty ZL1 Camaro, minus the supercharger and the magnetic shocks. As for the Mustang with the track pack, it's got a lot more coolers and a shorter final drive ratio. Now, before you LOL, where's the boss type start chimping away on your keyboards, let me assure you, we asked Ford for a boss. We begged Ford for the boss. We pleaded with them. 3 times they told us no, they would not give us a boss. So, as these two cars sit, this one is $43,000 and this one is $39,000. But that said, you could get yourself a 1LE Camaro for the same price as this Mustang. So, fair fight. As for looks, well, I think obviously we can say that the Mustang is for the more mature gentleman, whereas you'd have to have your own Facebook fan page to pull this one off.
Yeah, America!
But we know what you really want to see is how these two do in a straight line, which is why we're going to line them up and drag race them. Based on specs alone, this should be a pretty tight race. The Mustang GT's 5-liter double overhead cam V8 makes 420 horsepower and 390 pound-feet of torque. The Ford weighs about 240 pounds less than the Chevy and has shorter gearing. The Camaro SS 1LE makes 426 horsepower and 420 pound-feet of torque from its 6.2-liter pushrod V8. That's a significant 30 extra pound-feet of twisting force. But remember, the Camaro's weight disadvantage. Also, the Chevy has stickier tires. The Camaro just edges out the GT to 60 miles an hour, hitting the mark in 4.3 seconds compared to 4.4 seconds for the Ford. However, the GT's hard-charging Coyote power plant and lower weight sees the Mustang crossing the finish line in 12.7 seconds, the exact same time as the Camaro SS. The Ford's trap speed is fractionally better, 111.9 miles per hour compared to 111.8 for the Chevy, and that equals 1/10 of 1 inch. A decent layer of dust on the nose of the Camaro would make the cars dead even. Now, that's how we used to compare pony cars to each other back in the 1960s. And this one would be a tie. Today, though, things have changed. These two are as much track toys as they are street cars. So, to fully determine the winner, we took him to one of the curviest tracks in the West, the streets of Willow, to sort out what's what. Okay, here we are on the streets of Willow in the Mustang GT with the track pack going down the big straight. And we know that the two pony cars are identical in a straight line. We also know the Mustang's lighter, so you think that that lightness is going to really pay off on the track. I'm here to tell you it doesn't. This car has a lot of problems. For one thing, the shorter gears, they're not optimal. Give me an example. We're coming out of 2 here, and whoa, I'm flat in 2 and I'm at red line already. So I got to go into 3, but if I'm into 3, that only gives me 3,500 RPMs, not in the thick of the power band. So the gear spacing is spread out too far. The other big problem with this car is secondary body movements, man. This thing just hops and bounces and dances around, and you're constantly fighting with the car. Instead of paying attention to where you're supposed to be going, the racing line, looking ahead, all that good stuff, you are just struggling to keep this thing in a line you want because it just moves every direction, seemingly all at the same time, which is too bad. You know, before we started recording what we're doing right now, my colleagues and I went out and did a few laps, and Rory Jernicka was behind me in the Camaro. We're, you know, evenly matched as far as drivers go, and he was really gaining on me. So I think, okay, time to drive faster. And the second I got on the power, man, the back end slide out. I got myself into a little bit of a tank slapper. And we know it's very good in a straight line. I know it's a really good street car, but man, it's just not a good track car. Which is too bad, because I like a lot of things about the Mustang, but there's just no confidence in this thing. God, it is fun though. Before we get started, I want to just talk about a couple things. One is that I believe our own Frank Marcus once called me a notorious Camaro hater. And I was never a big fan of the last Camaro SS. In fact, it's the first car I ever drove off the track at the Streets of Willow. But GM did a big refresh on the 2012 Camaro. They really fixed up the rear end. Some of the problems still remain, like this side glass, which has to be the shortest in the industry. That said, as you're about to see, this is a pretty good car. All right, here we are going down the straight. Great acceleration. And unlike the Mustang, you can really bang this shifter home. It's a great shifter, and they've done a wonderful job with the gearing. In the Mustang, you're never really sure on the Streets of Willow what gear to be in. Second, you're at 7,000 RPM, banging off the limiter. Third gear, you just don't have enough power. Here in the Camaro SS, you can kind of run most of the track in second gear, and you're right in the thick of the power band. They've done an excellent job with the gearing and the spacing, and even when you're going pretty quick, you still have 2,000 RPMs left to play with. The other thing is, this car is so planted. They've done such a good job on the damping that I can just concentrate on the racing line. I can look where I want to go. I'm not dealing with a squirrely car like in the Mustang. It's amazing. Here we are, 2012, and you can have such a thing as a 4,000-pound track car. Now, it's got a lot more grip than the Mustang because it has much bigger tires. Mustang's 255 at all corners, Camaro's 285. But that extra weight of the bigger wheels, it really pays off in grip and, more importantly, driver confidence. I just feel like I can push this thing so much faster. My top speeds are higher, braking's better, cornering's better. Although I will say the Mustang turns in a little quicker, and that's a little fun, but it's a little hairy on the track. This sucker, you can drive it all day. This is probably my 15th, 16th lap, and I can keep going and going and going. I'm so impressed at what Chevrolet has accomplished here. It's such a good car. What I want to do now is hand these cars over to a dude who really knows how to drive cars on a track. And he can tell us what the real difference is between the Mustang GT and the Camaro SS 1LE. The one and only Randy Pobst. Before I turn you loose in yet another iteration of the Mustang versus Camaro saga, I want to clear up a couple of points that people bring up from time to time. And one of them is the Mustang still has a solid rear axle. You race cars for a living. What does that mean to you?
If my grandpa raced, he would have been racing a car with a solid rear axle. It means it's old-fashioned, it's not the most modern, it's not the most efficient, it's not the most effective design. It is less expensive, and it can be made to work.
It can be made to work on a racetrack. You can make it work? Okay. We've done a lot of this before. You've driven plenty of Camaros, plenty of Mustangs. Do you have a feel for which of these two is going to be better? It's going to be faster on the track.
It seems like it goes back and forth. Sometimes the Camaro turns out to be better. Sometimes the Mustang is better. Every Camaro we do, I don't know how it's going to turn out. I just look forward to driving them and seeing what we got.
Well, as I'm fond of saying, there's only one way to find out, and now it's time for Randy's Laps.
Going through the gears in the Mustang GT track pack, comparing it with the Camaro 1LE, the Mustang has got low gearing. It rips through the gears. Love the acceleration. I think it's faster than the Camaro in a straight line. Under braking, wow, it's got the nosedive. Just like the Mustangs before the Boss. Not putting power down very well, but at least it's controllable. There's that nosedive. And we got all this sliding. Look at that. I can just drive it sideways like a drifter. But at least it's controllable. The body motions in the Mustang are not controlled the way they are in the Camaro. I do like the looseness of it. It's a loose car, frankly, but it's a drifter, and that aspect is fun, but I don't think it's as fast as the Camaro in the corners. It's got dive, it's got roll, it's got all those things your football coach used to make you do working out on the field that don't really benefit the handling. Strong in a straight line, free revving engine. The brakes will stop the car, they've got fade resistance, but the ABS gets a little nutty sometimes still. You get that hard pedal and not real good stopping capabilities. There's that sliding. Mustang is loose on the entries, whereas the Camaro is just plain planted. I do believe the Camaro has a tire advantage. This Mustang is really more of a street package. The Camaro is more comfortable on the track, and the Mustang revs it out beautifully on the straightaway across the finish line. We're comparing the Camaro 1LE to the Mustang GT with the track pack. Right away, the Camaro's got taller gearing. Third gear is good for almost all the way down that front straight. The Camaro's got a lot more shock dampening. I can feel that immediately. Less roll in turn one, and boy, does it put the power down. A lot of tire grip. The Camaro's got a much stickier tire for standard equipment. Doesn't pull as hard. I mean, it's a strong engine, but the Camaro's carrying a little more weight, and you can feel it under acceleration, magnified by the tall gearing. The Camaro is a very planted car, really stuck. It's not sliding around a lot. Easy to drive. Notice I'm using one hand. Into the bull, I can just put my foot right to the floor and gesture. So what we've got is a really planted chassis here, as opposed to the Mustang, which is rolling and pitching and bouncing. The Mustang has a lot of brake dive. The Camaro does not have much brake dive at all, and the Camaro stops faster. It's really a very comfortable car on the racetrack. I'm not having to work hard at all. In a long sweeper, the balance is good. It's the best balanced Camaro I've driven, and out of any of the models. They just keep getting better. Across the finish line in third gear, it's a better handling car than the Mustang.
Thus concludes our head-to-head. To summarize, you put these two pony cars on a drag strip and they are dead even. However, throw them on a racetrack, advantage Chevrolet. Actually, it's not an advantage since the Camaro is over 3 seconds a lap faster. That's a slaughter. That means they're not even the same class of vehicle. In fact, the Camaro 1LE is closer in performance to a Nissan GTR than the Ford Mustang is to the Chevy. It's not just a victory for Chevy. Ford got their ass kicked. Thanks for watching. See you next time.